Hey, what's going on, guys? Echo, and welcome to something different on the channel. I am doing my first ever tier list. This is one I've actually just created. So if you want to go and do this for yourself, then the name is the 23-24 EPDL Predict. That I meant to change that. I will change that to predictions once this video has been recorded. But yeah, I'm going to go through the 23-24 season of the Premier League, and I will do my best to try and predict the Premier League as it is. But so, normally people do go to champions and so on and so on. However, I'm going to start with relegation. Now, I'm going to do this in order. So, in 20th and then 19th and so on and so on. So, I think the team that is going to finish last, unfortunately, I do think it's going to be Mr. Luton Town. Now, of course, their rise to the Premier League has been nothing but amazing. In the past, 10, 11 years, they went from non-league football all the way to the Premier League. And honestly, that is absolutely fantastic. However, I think the Premier League is now going to be too strong for them. They'll get a few surprise results. I think they could beat the likes of Liverpool. They'll most likely beat Chelsea, Spurs, grab probably a few points at United, Man United and whatnot. That's probably all they're going to do. And then the rest of them, I think they're just going to lose quite a lot of games. I don't think they're going to get enough points to stay up, unfortunately. So that's why I am putting them at 20th. In 19th, I am going to be putting, unfortunately, I'm going to put in, for some reason that didn't go that way. It's going to be Sheffield United. They're a bit of a yo-yo club recently. And yeah, I just don't think they'll stay up. They won't finish bottom, but I don't really think they're going to get enough points to stay in the Premier League, unfortunately. And yeah, it's just sad because, teams like that, they're historic, aren't they, really? I think then the next team to go down, I think we are going to be seeing Wolves go down. Of course, they did kind of, you know, get to the point of they were close. I did not mean to do that. I apologise. Let me change this. Sorted. There we go. I've never done this before. So yeah, I think Wolves will finish 18th. I think they'll get relegated, like final game of the season. I think they'll be very, very close to staying up, but I think they'll just go down, unfortunately. So yeah, Luton, Sheffield, and United all to go down at the end of the season. Of course, I am uploading this really rather early, so this is like before a lot of transfers are made. Because, of course, things could change, but I'm going to do this now. I think 17th will be. Who do I think is going to finish 17th? I think it will be Burnley. Burnley will stay up under Vincent Kompany. He'll be put under a lot of pressure. The players wouldn't want him to leave because they like him. I think the second half of the season they are going to struggle. Of course, the Premier League is a very demanding league. It's very take nothing away from other leagues and take away nothing from the Championship either. I just think that Christmas and whatnot, they're gonna have a lot of games, and I think they are going to struggle. But I think they'll do it on the final day of the season. So yeah, Burnley to finish 17th. Right, next then to finish in 16th, I'm going to put Everton. I think Everton will stay up again. I think they'll show some signs of improvement, but not enough to really warrant anything amazing. Of course, they really need some signings, and under Sean Dyche, I think they'll stay up. They'll have an okay season, but I just think there'll be too many draws. Really, I don't think they're going to win a lot, and I don't think they'll lose a lot. I think they'll definitely draw quite a few games, which results in them, unfortunately, being in 16th. The next team, though, to finish in the lower half of the table, and I think we're going to have to go for Forest. I think now they'll comfortably survive. I think the bottom five will be the teams that are going to be around the relegation zone until possibly March, and then you'll start seeing the other teams move away. But I think Forest will be pretty much safe about March anyway. I think they'll have a decent season with the players they've got in over the past couple of over the last year. I think they'll start building a bit of a chemistry together. I think they'll do really well. So that's why I put them in 14th. In 13th, waiting on 2019, 18, 17, 16, 15th. Yeah, so that's why I think they'll finish 15th. In 14th, then, I am going to put... Who am I going to put in 14th? I am going to put Crystal Palace. I think Crystal Palace will have a mediocre season again. They kind of seem to be a very mid-table side. They could finish a bit higher, but I do think this is where they'll finish. And I think as well they still have Roy Hodgson. So he's a decent manager. I think this be his last year. I think it'll be Roy's last year, and then he'll retire for sure. But yeah, mediocre, middle of the table. I think that'll be fine. And the last team in that category to finish in 13th, I will put in Bournemouth. Again, mediocre. Not really much to say about that. So let's go into the upper half of the table. Now, in 12th, I am going to put... It's a difficult one. I'm going to put Fulham. I think that's more of a realistic... In fact, that is probably the most realistic one there, actually. I think Fulham will have a decent season. I think they'll get in a couple of good players. Of course, we're only in, as you can see, look, 30th of June. So we're still a month and a half away from the season starting. I think if they get some good signings, I think they'll finish probably maybe a little bit higher, but that's where I think they'll finish. I think they'll finish in 12th. In 11th, then, I am going to put West Ham United. They'll definitely improve, but however, I do think this will be the season that David Moyes will unfortunately be sacked. Yes, granted, they did get the Conference League title, and they will be in the Europa League, which I think they'll go quite deep in. I think they kind of prove that they can handle Europe. However, I think with the competition of the Europa League, I think, they'll do well in the Europa League, yet I think they'll just suffer that little bit in the Premier League, as we've seen with all the smaller clubs. So, yeah, that's just my prediction. I think Moyes will get sacked. They'll bring in someone probably with a bit more European pedigree halfway through the season or towards the end of the season. And I think that will really help them as well to keep their mid-table spot. In 10th, then, I am going to put in Brentford. I think they'll get to like the semi-finals, like the Carabao Cup, maybe even the FA Cup. But I think, again, just middle of the road, and I think that'll be quite a good position for them then. In 8th place, I am going to put... I'm going to put Brighton. I was on and on between Aston Villa and Brighton, and I decided to go for Brighton. I think with Brighton now being in the Europa League, they're really going to struggle just to build on that. So I think they'll just finish outside the European spots. Still a very good season from them, I'm predicting. They're going to have some decent players in. Of course, they've got some decent money for McAllister. They've also got James Milner, who's very, very experienced in that midfield. I think he'll come in, be good for the youngsters. And then I think as well with Mohamed Dahoud, some European pedigree, of course, from Germany. I think that'll be a very good signing, just to bolster that midfield. They're going to need it, especially with the rumours of Caicedo leaving either to Man United or to Chelsea or wherever he decides to go. But that's just where I think they'll finish. So yeah, to finish 7th then in the Conference League, there's only going to be one team in this category, of course. And I do think it is going to be... I think Chelsea will finish in 7th. I think they'll get back into Europe. They had a terrible season last year. I think finishing lower half of the table, which it's kind of insane to really think about. They're offloading a lot of players now to Saudi Arabia. Personally, I think that's a little bit weird how they're all going to Saudi Arabia. So I'm hoping that the Football Association or whatever, or UEFA, will look into it just in case if there's any dodgy dealings going on. Of course, I am not throwing out any accusations, but it's just a little bit weird. That's all. So yeah, Europa League then. So this will be for 6th and 5th. I think Aston Villa will secure Europa League. They'll just get it ahead of Chelsea. I think they'll have a decent season. I think they'll struggle a bit in the Conference League. Of course, they're not used to being in Europe. Well, they haven't been in Europe for a very long time, actually. I don't actually know when they was last in Europe. But yeah, I think they'll finish 6th. I think they'll get Europa League. And I think they'll have a decent season. So yeah, we'll just put them there. I think Spurs will then finish ahead of them. I think, hang on, I have missed something here. No, I have messed up here somehow. So we've got 20th, 19th, 18th, 17th, 16th, 15th, 14th, 13th, 12, 11, 10, 9. Okay, I need to put someone in 8th. So in that case then, Chelsea will finish 8th. That's going to have to be that. I messed up, so I apologise. So, moved a few teams down. You know what? No, actually, I'm changing this then. I am changing this if I've done it wrong. So, I do apologise. I'm not going to change anything else. But I will, however, I'm going to put Chelsea then in the Conference League, in the Europa League, sorry. I think that's where they'll finish then. That seems a bit better, actually. Yeah, I think that's how it'll be. I think Spurs will be still mediocre. Of course, then with Poch at the helm of Chelsea, I think they'll get Europa League and Conference League. I still stick with them. So, yes. To finish in Europa League spot again, I think it's going to be... I'm going to put Newcastle. I'm going to put Newcastle in 5th. Just for the simple reason that I think with Champions League now in their vocabulary, of course, they're going to sign a few good players, and I know that. I just think the pressure of the Champions League, and with Eddie Howe now managing on the Champions League side, I think they're just going to struggle that a little bit. I don't think Howe will get sacked. I think he's a good enough manager to stay there for another 10, 15 years, really. I do think they'll win a trophy this season. I think they'll win the Carabao Cup at least. I think they'll get revenge this year. But yeah, that's just my opinion. So then, in 4th, I am going to put Liverpool. Liverpool get back into the top 4. That pains for me to say as a Man United fan. So yeah, I think they'll get top 4. They'll do it by about 5-6 points, but it'll be close until the end of the season. So yeah, that's 4th place. In 3rd, I am going to put Arsenal. They had a very good season last year. They did bottle it. And yeah, I think that they made some good signs, but it's going to take a while for them to gel. I think they'll definitely drop some points. So yeah, that's just my opinion. In 2nd, as much as I'd want to put Man United in 1st, I'm going to put them in 2nd. I think we're just going to be a little bit short. I think, as per usual, Man City will run away with it again. But I think Man United will put up a decent fight with a couple of players, or with one of the signings we've made, which is Mason Mount. I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh no, he's a Chelsea flop," blah blah blah. I think under Ten Hag, I think Mount will do very, very well. But yeah, with Rashford back in form and with some players, and we just need an out-and-out striker, and I think we'll be all right. We need a new goalkeeper, which we're looking at Onana. I think that'll be quite decent. But I just think, Man City, being Man City, they'll walk away with it again, and they'll win it for fourth time in a row, which I think has never been done in Premier League history. I don't think I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments. So yeah, that's just my opinion. But there we go. Proves that I'm not biased. So we're going to quickly run it down then. We are going to look at it properly. Let's download image. Wait for that to download. Perfect. and then we'll go to my image. There we go. So then in at 20th, like I say, it will be Luton, and then we're looking at Sheffield, then Wolves to be relegated. Between 13th and 17th will be Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, Forest, Everton, Burnley. 8th onwards will be Spurs, Brighton, Brentford, West Ham, Fulham. Conference League will be Aston Villa. Europa League will be Newcastle and Chelsea. And then Champions League will be United, Arsenal, Liverpool. And the winners will be, of course, Man City. Let me know how you think your team, if they're in the Premier League, will get on. Do you think they'll stay up? Do you think they'll get relegated? Depends on who you are. Let me know as well your predictions. I would love to hear where you think the likes of Luton, Forest, and all that will end up. Yeah. If you want to see some more tier lists, I don't know what other tier lists there could be. If you want to see more of these sort of videos, let me know in the comments. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you all soon. Peace.